Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event? WPLG-TV, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Gio Insignoras with WPLG-TV. How do you hear me?
Gio, we have you loud and clear, and on behalf of NASA and Expedition 68, welcome to the International Space Station.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Well, it's not often you get to talk to a couple astronauts from the International Space Station, let alone one from South Florida as well. So first things first, tell me, what exactly is the kind of work you guys are doing up there? What's the research you're accomplishing? And honestly, what's a regular day look like up in space versus what a typical 9 to 5 looks like all the way down here?
Yeah, that's one of the beauties of being up here. Obviously, we get some amazing views, but every day is different. You know, sometimes we get really lucky and we get to do something really cool like a spacewalk, but sometimes we get to do really cool science. Right now, we're growing tomatoes. We're looking at different cooling systems for computer systems. We're even doing research on ourselves. A lot of times we do maintenance on the station itself, right, because we have to keep it up and running. But the bottom line is every day is different, and that's one of the things that makes it being up here really cool.
Well, all right, a follow-up on that then. Most people have an idea of what space looks or feels like, you know, from movies or TV, but only a relative few people have had that experience that you guys have had all the way up there. So what's the one thing you would want people on Earth to understand about space, about the work that it is you're doing and accomplishing up there that we might not be necessarily privy to?
Hey, Gio. Well, yeah, we are very fortunate to be up here, very fortunate to be part of this team. And I think that's probably the overarching message that everyone needs to take away from this. Nobody does this alone. This can only happen with the efforts of tens of thousands of people, and we just happen to be the people up here executing it, but it is not possible without all the effort that happens on the ground.
This next one will be for both of you, but Frank, we can start off with you because you have the South Florida ties that we want to hone in on a little bit. As someone who considers Miami his hometown, what do you take away from your life growing up down here, graduating high school down here, and then, of course, all the myriad of experiences post-high school? What's sort of the message you'd have for kids, for any other dreamers that you want them to know and take away from your journey so far?
Yeah, you know, I love Miami, first of all. I always miss it. We love going back, visiting cousins and friends. I have some lifelong friends down there. And the culture, the food, the people, right? I just really enjoy my time down there. So hoping to show these guys around once we get back. And also the Russian cosmonauts that I flew up with. You know, I'm hoping to bring them down there and show them around. You know, but what I always take with me, no matter where I've been in the world, is the family, right, that we are down in Miami. We're all from different nations and different cultures, and yet we come together and form a Miami vibe that's different than anywhere else. But you kind of take that with you wherever you go.
Just real quickly, the way I ended up here is something I call academic courage. A lot of these things that we do seem really daunting and really overwhelming at first. It started with me as an undergraduate in studying physics. Physics was something that I did not really get as a high schooler, and that's actually why I pursued it in college and then eventually in graduate school. You just need to understand the language, and that applies to what we're doing here on the space station. It applies to aviation. It applies to science. Once you know the language, these kind of things are certainly achievable, and you just need to have the right mentors and team members and a little bit of courage, and you can get it done.
You guys mentioned the team members there.
Yeah, and Gio, one thing that
Yes, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. One thing that I would add to that is, it's awesome to be a dreamer, right? We all need to have big dreams, big goals. But it's also great to be a doer, right? At some point, you got to have a plan towards achieving those goals, and you just got to take it a day and a step at a time. I think sometimes we get lost in thinking of the end goal, when the reality is you just got to attack each day and do your best to make that day success.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that in terms of achieving your end goal. We all know that in life, it's never a straight line up. It's a bunch of ups and downs. And I think what's interesting, and what I think a lot of people would like to know, is what were some of those downs that you guys had to push through to get to where you are right now? And how does that dynamic work when you take it with you, not literally on Earth, but now you're in space, having to work together and get through some issues also from time to time?
Yeah, that's okay.
I think he handed it to me because I've had more downs. I'll tell you, it starts with academics, right? When things are an incredible challenge. I remember one of my really early undergraduate physics tests, getting a number back that didn't really make any sense because I thought it was out of a scale of 100. And you take these licks and you keep getting back up. I'll tell you, we still make mistakes now. We're human. And I think that's what the most important message that I got from my upbringing, and I still learn it here every day. It's not that you're going to be perfect. It's not that you're not going to make any mistakes. What's important is how do you bounce back? How do you react after the mistake is done? Because like Frank was saying, sometimes we're fortunate enough to go outside and do really difficult things like a spacewalk. And if you make a mistake out there, you need to be able to deal with it and not fold. And so that's what all our training and all our background has prepared us for.
As we wrap up here with a couple minutes left to go, I'm curious about the dynamic when it comes to the team effort, because we like to talk about team effort and working together and accomplishing, a unique set of goals. But when you're working at the International Space Station, it's obviously it's cross world. You're working with teams from around the world, not just from one particular city or one particular country. So what's that dynamic been like for you guys up there? And what's the takeaway that we can learn from working with a bunch of different people in space and apply it down here on Earth?
Yeah, Gio, hey, that's actually really well said, because it like we've said over and over, it is a team effort. And I think a team made up of diverse people and talents and backgrounds actually makes the strongest team, right? And every day we're fortunate enough to work with ground teams from throughout the world, and we're on the radio with them every day. And like Josh hinted at, you'd be amazed at the little mistakes that we can make up here. But the ground team's always there to catch them, and they have our back, and they support us through those. And no matter what it is, we just kind of work through it and make it right and make it better for the next time. And so I think one of the key team dynamics that we try to focus on is appreciating your teammates' strengths and drawing on those, because a lot of times their strengths aren't your strengths, and together you kind of end up making for a much better problem-solving team. So that would be my take on it.
Yeah, Frank's absolutely right. If we all try to solve the problem the same way, there are certainly going to be instances where we don't get the problem solved. And Frank is right. We have the support from the ground to catch us, but we're also an asset for them because we're able to catch some things that maybe they don't have the perspective on because they're not actually here. But you couldn't be more right. The team dynamic is really important, and it's often the perfect fit. I don't particularly care for Frank, but we're still getting the job done. I'm kidding. We're very lucky to have the crew we've got up here, and it's super fun to do it and to work hard together and have something incredible to have accomplished at the end.
Just under the wire there. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time, and let me spend a few minutes with you up in space. Thank you.
All right, Gio, take care. It was awesome talking to you. Say hi to everybody in Miami for us, please.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the WPLG-TV portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from KFAN-FM.
Station, this is Zach Culverson with KFAN. How do you hear me? Oh, no. Oh, no.
Hey, Zach, we've got you loud and clear, and welcome to the International Space Station.
So good to be here, gentlemen. So excited about this. And wow, I'm watching the NASA TV feed right now, watching you guys floating around in space. This is an incredible honor. And Josh, I want to start with you because as a proud White Bear Lake kid, make that known on this radio show, it is so cool to know that somebody who walked the same halls that I did growing up as a White Bear Lake grad, you did the same thing. Can you just speak to your time here in Minnesota and how you made it from Minnesota all the way to space?
Well, first, Zach, we got to start with Go Bears. That's so cool that we went to the same high school. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Minnesota was exactly where I needed to be. It set the foundation that I needed academically and socially. In fact, I got to go back to White Bear about 6 years ago or so and talk to the high school. And in fact, it was about 25 years after the fact, but I finally got my high school diploma that was locked away in a file cabinet that they didn't give me because I owed them a little bit of money for a stolen baseball jersey.
Go ahead, Corey. Well, I can ask Frank this since Josh just took that one. Frank, we were just talking on the morning show yesterday that I'm 42, and I was asking if I went to Denver and just started living in Denver, would I ever get tired of the mountains, or would I just always be blown away by them because I didn't grow up with them? And I'm thinking, if you've been on the International Space Station for a couple of months, do you wake up in the morning and look out the window and say, yeah, I've seen this for 60 or 70 straight days? Or is your mind blown daily looking out that window?
Yeah, looking out the window, for sure, your mind is blown daily. And try to make it a point. Unfortunately, we don't have windows in our rooms. And so just to get out and look out the window at least 5 minutes a day. You do have a ton of work and research that we're doing up here. And so, unfortunately, we don't get to spend our entire days just looking out the window. That'd be pretty cool, though. But yeah, every day I try to get out there just to remind myself where I am and how amazing this opportunity is.
Josh, this is.
And I'll tell you what, I was just going to say about the view. We have to work out 2.5 hours a day because we're incredibly lazy the other 21 and a half. Like right now, we're not burning any calories. We're not stressing our bones. But I'll tell you what, the coolest thing, nobody likes doing crunches, but when we do crunches here, every time we sit up, we're looking right out the cupola, and we're looking at that beautiful planet. So we actually do get some time there for the views, just as long as we can keep the crunches coming.
Josh, this is Paul Lambert. As a Minnesota high school grad, how do you follow the local sports teams back here, and was it fun, if you can follow it from afar, following all the Carlos Correa news?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a little easy for me, coincidentally, to follow local sports because my two nieces are great little athletes down there in Wayzata. So we try to get there back to Minnesota when we can. I don't have family back in Minnesota these days, but we certainly have friends and family. That's how we stay plugged in. To the general question about staying plugged into sports, Frank takes care of that for us. He makes sure that we definitely have a feed up from ESPN whenever we can, when there's big sports on the docket, and we've got a screen that we hang over one of the hatches, and we can watch some big games. And I think Frank was up almost all night on Monday night for the championship game.
Josh, Mark Rosen here. Is there an appreciation for where we all live when you look down on Earth that's just not possible when we're going through our daily lives? Is there kind of more of a global feeling that you just can't comprehend that we are alone, basically, and this is our planet?
I will tell you, the perspective we get up here is a bit overwhelming. When you look down on that beautiful planet, and by the way, there is no part of the planet that isn't beautiful, you just see how incredibly lucky we are. We've won the lottery in terms of the universe. We've got this beautiful but incredibly fragile atmosphere that keeps us alive, and it is just it puts things in perspective because you can look down and you know that, hey, some groups of people aren't getting along, and you can realize, wow, it's not worth it. We all are in the same boat, literally, in this universe, and some of the things that we're not getting along about are certainly not worthwhile when you've got this kind of perspective.
Hello, gentlemen. Chris Hockey of the Power Trip Morning Show here in Minneapolis. Honored to talk to you both, Josh and Frank. And by the way, if you're just tuning into the Power Trip, we are talking live to the International Space Station as we speak. Frank Rubio, if you don't mind, I'm not sure how to address you, so I'm just going to call you Frank. I was reading your bio. You're both such impressive individuals. You've done so much in your lifetimes. And I was wondering, knowing in all the dangerous situations you've been in, Frank, including, by the way, being a battalion surgeon for the 3rd Battalion, 10th Special Forces Group in the U.S. Army, you get up to the space station, and I would guess everything seems to be very just serene. Do you have to remind yourself that you are in danger at any moment because of things that could go wrong up there when it's so serene all the time?
Feeling good until then.
Yeah, neither of us were actually aware of that until you just said it. So, no, I think one of the things that we're both fortunate enough to have a military background, and so not just having the honor of serving our country, but also having that background that has put us in kind of harm's way time and time again. And while it's an honor to do that, the one thing you learn is really just to compartmentalize and just kind of put that away because you need to focus on the task at hand. And so I think up here, honestly, I think those things cross your mind right before launch. But then as soon as the rocket ignites, you're focused on the rocket and getting it up here safely. Same thing when you're stepping out of the hatch for your first spacewalk, right? You think about what you're doing for a split second, and then for the next 8 hours, you're really focused on getting your job done and doing it right. So yeah, I think we've all kind of learned that task of compartmentalizing throughout our lives, and we're all pretty good at it.
Hey guys, Mark Parrish.
Frank's absolutely right, and I think it speaks to our training. Sorry, I stepped on you. Go ahead.
No, I think I did step on you guys. Sorry, guys. Mark Parrish. I'm really. I don't know if you guys have gone through this yet. If you've gone out to outer space and come back to Earth, but I'm wondering about getting back home and what's it like to walk. I mean, getting off a boat after an hour or two is a little bit. The legs are a little bit weak there. So I wonder what you guys are like when you get home.
Yeah, so Frank's going to land on terra firma, and I'm going to land on the water. And as a Navy guy, I've had plenty, so I don't necessarily need that extra time on the water. But you're right. We are, even though we've been working out a ton, our vestibular system is kind of a mess, and Frank can probably talk to that a little bit more as a physician. But yeah, the first couple weeks are, just trying to get back on your feet, quite literally sometimes, and we're probably not driving a car for 2 weeks or so, and probably not flying an airplane for even a couple more.
Guys, last question, and I thought, when we were planning this out, I thought about how, few people get the opportunity to talk to people in space, but then you think about the fact that the number of people who've been to space is still in the hundreds. Can you talk about the honor and the privilege it is to be up there and be able to see this planet from above?
Yeah, it's absolutely humbling, really, is the bottom line. Not just to have that privilege, but also to represent the amazing teams that we're a part of, right? The NASA team, the military, the Navy, the Army, our states. So yeah, I mean, every day you look out that window, you feel amazed, but also every day you kind of think about what an amazing honor and a privilege this is. And that's kind of motivates you to do your best. And so, yeah, hopefully more and more people will get this opportunity, and we look forward to helping to make that happen.
Josh, Cassada, Frank Rubio, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Best of luck with the rest of your mission. And Josh, if you ever find yourself back in Minnesota, please feel free to swing by the studio. We'd love to have you in.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I'd love to take you up on that. Guys, thanks a lot for coordinating this. It's been all our pleasure. And, again, you can't say it too often. Go Bears.
Thank you, gentlemen. Wow, what an honor. And well done. Well done there for Zach Halverson.
Nice job, Zach.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes our event.
From WPLG-TV and KFAN-FM station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.